Well, welcome back, you beautiful spuds. Hey, I haven't posted in a few days, and I've been doing some D&D stuff, and I've been doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but I don't know. I recently played a campaign, two sessions of a system, a D&D system. It's the Fallout system. It got me thinking, and of course, I have been, as always, very engaged by Elden Ring, and I really like it a lot. I'm still far from great, and I don't know. Instead of looking online and seeing if a professional or somebody semi-professional, somebody smarter and better and more skilled than me had made a system, instead I decided to just waste all my free time just making my own system. And so it's weird, it's zany. I actually over the last weekend, before this video, of course, I ended up testing the system out with two different play groups, and it was interesting. I definitely think that my brain and how I have things wrote is a lot easier for me to understand than just showing. But the first play group didn't go so great, but I did learn from some of my mistakes. And while I didn't really overhaul the system, I did improve upon it in my second play group. It went really good for the most part. There was a lot of head scratching in the beginning as I was trying to break down how you're supposed to play, how I have it set up. And again, this is my own hodgepodge system. This is in no way, I'm just stealing from a whole bunch of things. I put it all together, put a story to it, and then in my mind, it works. Like I said, the second playtest went pretty good. It was quite fun, and I definitely would have to say that it inspired me to want to make this video to where I can show off what I made and put it out there on the internet for you beautiful spuds to criticize me horribly and tell me, what the heck are you doing? Or to, I guess, stroke my ego, tell me, hey, that looks really cool. Or just be like, I don't know, man. I don't care. And then you can, I guess, not leave me a comment. I guess just ignore me. But I didn't really make a rules per se. Instead, I just worked on a system that is, for a lack of a better word, I would have to say a little loosey-goosey, but it's wibbly wobbly. But I'd like to break it down. I'm including in the video all of my characters, and as I explain to you what I'm doing, maybe if you want to use this for yourself, modify what you will, delete everything if you don't like it. But and if you think you have something that you could tell me to improve the system, or I'm just kind of putting this out here. I'll take whatever I get, and criticism I'm expecting. But I would, of course, hope that everyone is, respectful and loving. I'm not a fool. This is probably a weird system. So, with that said, let's break it down. So, this is my character one. They are, for whatever, I'm not great on meta, but I do know a little meta. I don't know. You could name this character how you want to name this character. They're basically a light build. They have they're kind of a independent player, so they have spirit ashes that they can summon, and they are sporting two daggers, one of which is the parrying dagger, which I tried one time using and was just obliterated on my Xbox profile with everyone. After beating me in PvP, they would send me messages saying, bro, you can't parry with that dagger. Bro, what you doing? You suck. And all kinds of stuff. So take what you will from that. So let me break down what you're looking at. So clearly, I think there's a lot of wasted potential to this character sheet, but I like I did a lot of snipping and moving stuff around. So as you can see, there's a whole bunch of eye stuff. What does it all mean? So let me zoom in. So let's look at the character. And so here's our character. We got our dagger. We got our parrying dagger. And then we have the spirit calling bell that is going to allow us to summon the wolf, the jellyfish, and the stormhawk. We also are equipped, whatever, with the America's, I don't know how you say that, Maricas, Sore Seal. It's got the Longtail Cat Talisman and the Immunizing Charm +2, or Immunizing Horn Charm +2. And then they got some other stuff. So let's first break this down. Well, I guess, hold on, no. JK. So we also have the boiled prawns and fire pots, and it looks like they have one flask, one wondrous physic, which, you're technically only supposed to have one, and they don't have any crimson tears. Instead, they have cerulean tears. But if we look over here, I'm going to break this down here in a second. Their HP is 1. Instead of doing like actual numbers and having like D&D where you roll and each thing, like your dice, you're going to roll to hit, and then after you roll to hit, you're going to roll damage. In this, I have it set, and again, I could be messed up by using a D20 system when this might not need to be a D20 system. My second playtest, I was told by one of my players that it could better be possibly converted into a D6 system. I've never played a D6, so maybe this is because the reason it's funky is I should have played a D6 system, and this could just convert into that, but because I've only ever played D20 systems, I'm just making some janky ass system. So, with that said, I have it very simplified. So, successes can equal death or whatever, and everything's very simple. So, with an HP of 1, that basically means if you can't negate an enemy's successes on you after all of your other stuff is done, all they have to do is 1 point of success to you. You die after all deductions. FP, of course, is going to be the amount of magic you have. Of course, everyone knows what FP is. Weirdly enough, when I was describing this to one of my players, I didn't know what FP actually stood for. I was like, it's your mana. It's like MP. And they're like, yeah, but why is it not MP? Why is it FP? Only to find out it's called focus points. I never knew that, and I don't know why magic is called focus points. But what do I know? You can roast me in the comments for not knowing why it's called focus points instead of like magic or like mana or whatever. And we got stamina. This is going to be the crux of the game. So where in other D systems you would have actions where you get a move, and then you can have like a major action or like a standard action, and then you could have a minor action, and you could have free actions or half actions. There's been all kinds of different ways. In this, everything that requires actions, if it doesn't have a 0 stamina cost, once you use all of your stamina, you're out of actions. It's basically your turn's over. But you also need this to do responses to people as well. So, and then the last one is luck. This is kind of I think I've stolen mostly from the Fallout system specifically, but this will be a way so you can re-roll your D20. So in this, every time you try to do something, your character is always going to roll 2 D20s. Again, I've kind of stolen this from other systems. So when you roll those 2 D20s, luck is going to be one of the abilities that you can use that will re-roll those D20s. Now, when you sit at a site of grace, just like in the game, you're going to be able to recover all of these. So your luck always resets when you sit at a site of grace. Your FP always resets, and your health always resets. The only difference, and maybe I need to move it to a different location, your stamina, you get back every turn. And I have some items that are going to allow you, like with the pickled turtleneck, I want you to be able to get stamina back when it's not your turn. In between turns, you can get stamina back. That way, you can have actions even after you've used them all. So if I haven't lost everyone yet, I'm going to continue to break this down. So as you're looking all over, I kind of did a quick list of all actions to do because I don't have a system. It's everything about the rules is either in my head, which I'm trying to explain to you, or displayed on the character sheet. So with no any rules where you can read in another piece of paper or like a PDF. We're learning as we go. So you guys can, so I can kind of break it down. In my version of this, any action can be done. Now, if it's not listed as an action you can do, that is up to the DM to decide to either have that player write it in, or maybe possibly we just need to change the character sheets at some point and have more things like generic things wrote on there. Realistically, I don't even know if I shouldn't have a skills just like D&D, so that you can not only use skills, but then you can also have your actions actions that you can do. As of right now, everything is, like I said, loosey-goosey. I don't have... this is definitely an R&D, homebrew, just something to play that I made for me and my friends with some play groups. So, let's go over some of the actions. So, we got our main dagger, and our main dagger, I included a quick attack with it. And for whatever reason, I did not include a heavy attack with this. So that definitely is, I can already see I've messed up. But this is where I guess you can make your own system. I kind of just looked at this and tried to make all characters equal. Because again, as of writ, there is no ability scores on this character. So that might be something I might need to do, is add ability scores or figure out some kind of system where you can actually create your character. Because right now it's just, these are pre-made characters with that I want to change. So, quick attack, I have, it broke down to 3 different things. So, quick attack uses 1 stamina, which means anytime you want to use this, it's going to deduct from your stamina pool. So, for instance, you could do 2 attacks on 2 different enemies, or on 1 different enemy, 1 enemy 2 times, or 2 enemies once in a turn. And so you could run up to one of the enemies and make a quick attack. So when you make a quick attack, just like any action in the game, you're going to roll 2d20s. You're going to deduct your stamina for that turn. You're going to deduct any FP that it uses. And then the result is the number you need to roll equal to or higher. And then that comes with a caveat. Again, I might need to write this down. So let's say you get 2d20s. You roll. So let's move over to this digital program. So we got 2 dice right here. And so let's say we have our d20s, 2 d20s, and we're going to roll. And we get a 7 and a 13. So now if we go over to what our character sheet was, we can see on the character sheet that it needs a result of 10. So going back to our dice, we see the 7 didn't get there, but the 13 did. So that would count as 1 success. Now this is where I say it's loosey-goosey, because I'm doing a whole bunch of gymnastics. So first off, as a DM, you have to think, what enemy are you fighting? And then, what does that weapon normally do? And you're going to have to decide, in that situation, whatever enemy they're fighting, you always go with so you either ask your players, what do you want to do? And of course, if their answer is they want to kill the enemy, you need to look at the enemy, decide what its reductions are, and then decide how many successes that player needs to roll to kill them. And of course, if you're only rolling 2d20s, and whatever the result is, the best case scenario, you can only get 2 successes. This is where I put a threat range in, a critical threat range, and an actual success crit range. So in this situation, let's say our critical fail threat range is 1, 2, and 3. So when they go to make this roll, if they roll a 1, 2, or 3, they get a critical fail. If they roll, let's say, 18, 19, or 20, it is a critical success, which will count as 2, a greater success. As long as they roll 10 or higher without it hitting 18, 19, or 20, they're going to get 1 success. So you pick an enemy, and then let's say that enemy, to kill that enemy, you say, well, with that dagger, with a quick attack, it's going to take 5 successes to kill them. Or you can injure them if you get under the 5. So then you'll roll. And so this is where, going back to the dice, this is where technically the best we could get. So let's do a quick roll. So this would be bad. So this would be a critical fail. So you would get a fail, and then you would get a success. But that's it. So 1 fail, 1 success. So in this case, if that's the only modification you're getting, and then of course, and this is why it's a little confusing. The more I explain this, the more. So I have hidden numbers as well. So I might think that this blade, I personally think you should be able to get +2 with successes just by itself, because you look at the enemy and you look at what this dagger is doing, and I would say in this situation you're going to get 2 successes. Though I guess retroactively you could just delete that from the enemy's deduction. So instead of saying they need 5 successes, you could just say you need to just get 3 successes, and that's probably the better way to do it. So let me backtrack. So you need 3 successes to get. So that means, as is, with your 2 dice, the only way to kill that enemy is you're going to have to get at least 1, 18, 19, or 20, and then you need to get a 10 or higher, if that makes any sense. So let's see how. So here we got a fail. We just didn't get a success. So this is just 1 success, no fails. This is 1 success, no fails. This is 1 success, no fails. This is 2 successes, but with 1 fail. And so the dice is showing real quickly that it is not very in your favor at that. This is where in the game I have it to where I want you to be able to get extra dice as you're playing. And so depending on what you do, if you use a great rune or if you get items, then you can add extra dice to your character. And also, when I have my players start the game, I immediately tell them that they can either write in their own skill they want to do, or action I should say, or the ones provided. And I said pick 3 of them and improve them by 1, and then pick 1 and improve it by 2, meaning that out of all of the lists that they'll have 3 of these that'll have 3 dice, and 1 of them that'll have 4 dice. And as you play the game, I want you to be able to collect items. Most likely, like with weapon attacks, you're going to need to get either a smithing stone or a somber smithing stone. And then all you have to do is upgrade your weapon, and you now permanently will get to add an extra dice when you're rolling. Or if you want to do it in a different way, you can have those upgrades lower the result of what you need to roll. On top of that, like I said before, our luck I want to use as the way to re-roll any failures that you get. Even to go as far as, if you want, instead of re-rolling, you can just use a luck point to remove a success from the enemy in the case where you could possibly die. So let's say this weapon was upgraded. So let's say we get 3 dice instead of the 2. Let's see, and we need 3 successes. So with that said, let's roll it. And we got no success, 1 success, 1 fail. Wow. This is not doing good. Let's try that again. We did not roll nearly like this in real life. All right. Let's go with this one, a roll of 8, 17, and 19. So with this, you have 1 over 10, so that's a success, and then 1 that is in the 18 to 20, so this will be 3 successes with no fails. So with that said, you could easily, in that one attack, kill the enemy. Now again, you don't have to kill the enemy in this one attack because you would have 2 points of stamina. So even in the case that you need 3 successes and let's say you only get 1 success, you can choose to just combine both attacks together so that you're rolling 4 dice at the same time. Or you can do them separately and then modify them as you go. And that will either be, that is the first example of what that quick attack was. So I've either lost you and you're going to say your system is super broken and dumb. And it probably is. I'm going to be honest. I need to probably think of a better system or just use somebody else's system. But let's continue, and then let's actually do the the Blood Blade. Now, of course, a lot of this is DM discretion, so you would have to know how Elden Ring is. So the Blood Blade, of course, with the stagger, is kind of a mid-range attack, and you launch out the blood blade, and so it's a little bit different. So this one, you don't have to be adjacent to the enemy to attack. It takes the same amount of stamina. It does take more FP, and because it's ranged, your chances of actually getting a success is different. But as the DM GM, you also now can choose, because this is going to do bleed, and it's doing a different type of damage. You can decide with that enemy if it's actually, they still need to roll a 14 to get a success. But as far as how many successes they need with the Blood Blade, that's up to you. And, of course, there is always, you can just auto give them bonuses to success by just lowering it. Like saying, well, you only need one success or no success. Because even in the Fallout system, which is where I kind of got this from, there are some situations where it's really not about the success necessarily. It's about not failing. And so a lot of the times, you can actually decide that just nothing happens if they don't get a success, and it was just kind of a draw. But the real catch is them rolling, and it's not that they don't get the 14, it's that they don't roll a critical fail. So you can decide that's anywhere from a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5. I guess you can make it harder, but then you're really just saying, oh yeah, if you get a fail, this is really bad. And that's the whole thing. Anytime a fail and a success is made, I would definitely say you should reward and punish your player at the same time. Maybe what they were doing does happen, but this is Elden Ring, so maybe they kill them and die at the same time, or they're just injured in a way that you can remove their HP, or something happens. We're going to skip combo attack real quick. We're going to go to parry. So continuing through, parry is 1 stamina, 1 FP, and it's a 17 revive. This is, I have modified this as a 17 because of how I was told that is one of the worst or hardest daggers to parry with. So anytime an enemy attacks them, if they have stamina and FP, you can allow them to use this as like an interrupt, and then they get to roll their 2d20s, and you get to decide how many successes they need to be successful. But that's kind of the whole system. It's really all up to you, and maybe I will eventually start making this a little bit more generic, to where I have like an actual set of rules, so that it's not so loosey-goosey. And again, this could just be a bad thing. Like I get bored sometimes, and I don't know. I like creating. That doesn't mean I'm good at creating, but I like creating. And this, I don't know, was something that I've whittled my time around. I've come up with this system. It's probably more in my head than anything else. So if you don't like it, and there may not even be anyone listening anymore, you don't have to. This is my system. If you don't like it, I get it. I 100% I get it. But I'm going to finish out with at least this character, and we're going to see that they can also use the bell bearing to create jellyfish. Now, of course, this is going to be different than the game, but I thought that was really interesting. In D&D, you always have that one player that wants to have animal companions or a goblin companion, and they always want to have other NPCs that either the DM is trying to figure out how they're controlling them, or the DM just decides to let they control it, and it's always hectic. And I thought that this was just a nice little transition where, unlike normal Elden Ring, where if you have people with you, you clearly can't use spirit ashes. I think this is a funny way to still include spirit ashes, and you can do it while having other friends. And so I thought it was neat. I actually don't know how that plays, because in both of my playtests, this was one of the characters that got ignored. No one played this character. So as far as a playtest goes, I don't know in practice how well this character works. But yeah, so you summon your spirit bell, and for the most part, I kind of have it as, it is not an instant guarantee, so I have it as they use stamina and FP. The roll is low, but depending on how many successes you get, you can go in a couple directions. So one of the ideals I had was either have it just fail and nothing happens if you don't get the right amount of successes, or most likely what I was wanting to do is just give that summon extra damage or extra HP for as many more successes you get, meaning it's stronger or weaker depending on how well your calling bell summoned. And then it'll be up to you if you want to allow them to just continue to use this. As it is, I have not included a timeline or what happens. Most likely, I'd probably say that you could only have one Ash of War, or one Ash, Spirit Ash at a time. So if you tried to use it again, it would just unsummon the first one and then resummon the new one, or summon the new one. And so as you can see, I got all three listed, and then I kind of have them what I consider what their power level would be. So you can do the jellyfish, and it is only 1 FP, or you can get the lone wolf, and it's 2, or the stormhawk, and it's 3. And then you can give in your own GM reasonings why this one is better than the other two. And of course you can change these as well if you think what I'm saying is wrong. But yeah, so that's what I got for the Spirit Ashes. The boiled prawns I have here. Now on the character sheet I've wrote in, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I put 5 here on the character sheet. So you can say they start with 5 boiled prawns. For this part, I do make it an action to take it, and I'm kind of I do tell the players that when they use it, they do have a limited amount of time, but I didn't give them this is the exact number of turns. I told them narratively, as long as they wasn't punishing it, that they would at least get the benefit of it. And I gave it as a roll, and of course this was one of the ones that I allowed them to upgrade if they wanted in the beginning. So of course, as always, it starts with 2. Everything you roll 2 d20s, but if they wanted in the beginning, they could give it a +1 and then roll 3, or give it a +2 and make it roll 4. And then for every success, you can either give them that for X amount of turns, or you can give it, you can make it either that's the amount of time, or you could actually say that's the amount of damage it can deduct before you start taking damage again, or you can make it pretty much whatever. But my ideal of it was it's about, it's damage reduction. You can either make it have a set amount or have it be the amount of time you're rolling for. Cerulean Tears is your flask, and I was doing those straight. For every success you roll, you get that many points of FP back up to your max FP limit. You can't surpass it, but that's how I was doing the Cerulean Tears, and of course in another character that's the same thing I'm doing for the Crimson Tears. So if you want to regain health, you drink one of your flasks. You get them back when you sit at a site of grace, but when you drink it, it's not a fixed amount of health. It's like a health potion. So the amount of successes you roll is going to determine how many hit points you get back or health you get back. And of course, that is something you can upgrade later in the game by getting sacred tears if you want. Though I had no problem with my characters starting out with that being another one of the actions that they could just immediately start the game with and say, hey, you want your cerulean tears to have a +2 so that instead of rolling 2 dice, you're going to roll 4 dice every time. I'm cool with that. And then as far as a failure with the cerulean tears, that is up to you to decide. You can decide that on a failure, the crimson, the potion does an extra negative effect while it also heals you, or you could have it actually be empty, implying that when you reset at the site of grace, something happens, or you spilt it during battle, or something happened. You can even just say it doesn't work, or do the reverse, where if you're doing a cerulean tears and you get 1 or however many successes, you can either, if you don't want to say it doesn't do anything, you could just say, well, you heal 4 FP, but you're going to take 1 hit point. And in the case of this person, that would just be a funny death, that you literally drink your cerulean tear and you choke on it and drowned or just die, and for whatever reason, you were just simply trying to get some more FP and your character just died. I will warn you, my goal with both of my playtests is this system is not to be taken serious. It's supposed to be more about role play. I know I have the system set very complex, which is maybe where I'm messing up. I need to just maybe change it to a D6 and look into how to do that. But I want it to just be more about the fun of, like, I want the luck. I want dice rolling. I want the players to be able to see what their actions, like, there's pros and cons. But at the end of the day, I want it to be not very, like, 3rd edition 3.5 where it's like super rules orientated. I don't like that for this. I think they probably have a system that's like that. This, I still haven't locked in if that's what I want to do. So other than that, let's continue. I'm almost done. Flask of Wondrous Physic, and I have it set just like the other flasks, but with this, I have it to where every success will give you DR of +1, meaning that if you can get 3, 4, 5 successes, you'll have basically DR5, invincible. And then I have it set to where you can endure 1 lethal attack, meaning no matter what, the first amount of damage is just negated. And then after that, for X amount of time, you can decide. And you can also maybe change this to just have its own DR rating, and then have the number of successes count how many attacks they get DR from, or just an amount of time. This is something I think can easily be manipulated a little bit to how you want to interpret it and use it. And then, of course, I didn't know where the correct place to put this, but I put this in here. Technically, these aren't actions, but just to kind of even out what was going on. Oh, I guess I need to explain this. So with this talisman over here, one of the biggest things that I did is I made 11 characters. And I'm going to show you all 11 characters. But when I made the characters, I immediately tried to make some pros and cons. I wanted each character to have its own thing with its own OP stuff that other characters didn't have, but I wanted each character to have weaknesses. But when I was doing this, my core goal was with these 4 stats up here, it had to equal 10, and if it didn't equal 10, there had to be a reason with gear why it was over. And so as you can see here, we have 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 2 points more than what should be my staple that I go for every character. So we have this seal, and as you can see, it's giving us a +1 to our FP and a +1 to our stamina, which is kind of what this does in the game. It gives you more FP and more stamina. And if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. I think it also adds extra damage to the character, which I think is funny because in this case it doesn't mean anything. You're going to die no matter what with one hit. So it's not punishing them in any way. Though I guess you could change that if you wanted to. So then the next thing is I gave them the immunizing horn, and I've basically made them immune to poison. So this little character sheet over here is one of the things that I have their damage reduction. So no matter what, for physical, they're not getting anything, but anytime an enemy does an attack that has a magical thing, I'm going to give them a DR of 1, so that means I'm going to always take away one of the successes the enemy does. And fire, lightning, holy. Now, when we get to these three, and then I had to write in, so this is not complete. I had to put in focus, because I completely forgot about focus. So, immunity is a 2. So, again, these will be rolled just like, and again, I think I need to separate these because these are damage reduction, but the way I'm doing these 4, if we have to write in the other one, but immunity, robustness, poise, and then focus, is you're going to roll 2d20s, or if you want to upgrade one of these in the beginning of the game, just like everything else, or if later in the game you want to give them equipment or anything that would give them extra d20s, they're going to roll that many d20s, and then you're going to have a whatever. So if somebody tries to poison them, you can, or if they're walking around in something, or bleed effect happens, or they're going mad or being tried to put to sleep, you're going to have them roll those 2 d20s or more if you modify it, and then you're looking for successes. So this talisman is giving him an immunity of 2, meaning that he literally succeeds on everything that isn't a 1. And then you can even go as high to say like the critical success threat range or critical success range. How you could set it as low as 15, meaning 15 is a double greater success. You can also just straight up delete this and just say you're immune to poison, if that's what you wanted to do, and this character could never get poison. I have left it as they're almost invincible. And then as a funny thing, in my storyline for their playtest, I did have a couple locations where characters could just fall to their death, but I made it to where there are hidden locations, but I only have the hidden location in for this character. So if you picked this character and you were the unlucky person to fall to your death, you would get the bonus of a new location because you could not fall to your death. Other than that, I treated all the other characters as if you jumped off any area that I thought was that you couldn't jump off of, it was just insta-death. No rolling, no nothing. I left it very much like the game. And then last but not least, I have these fire pots. Now again, they don't say anything different than this, but of course I have these with the fire, the type fire. So I'm making it to where if you use them, anything you try to set on fire, like it'll light stuff on fire. I have it as like some kind of like skill check. So like in a situation where like there could be moss or debris or something, using fire is a bonus. Now, of course, in combat, these also are good because they're going to do a different type of damage, unlike what you're using. And whether or not you want these to be a craftable item, now in the game, you get the cracked pot back. You can do that, or you could just have this as an item that they can find and they don't get it back. It's however true you want to stay to the game. But I have it as that, and then of course I do the same thing. The rolls are you roll 2d20s unless you've modified it, and then you're going to get a success for everything over 14, and you'll get 2 successes for anything that's in that critical success threat. So 20 maybe, or 19, or whatever. And then as far as dealing with fails, you could have too many fails count as the fire pot blowing up in your hand, or you could actually have too many fails doesn't change. Maybe these are always successful, so you can never fail with the fire pots, unlike with a quick attack, but they are destroyed. So not only do you lose the pot, but you also lose the crack pot, and now you have to get a whole new crack pot, or cracked pot. Crack pot implies something else, and that's not what I'm talking about. Cracked pot. And so that's how I was doing that. And of course, with anything, anytime you would be attacked, I have a barrel roll in, and barrel roll is going to be, I think, a set amount. In certain situations, I give you extra bonuses, but for however many you think the character needs to get out of taking damage or being damaged, then that's what you do. And that is pretty much everything here. I would love to hear people roast me and tell me that this is all bad. I also have, if a character gets damaged, but it didn't kill them, and I think, well, they might be staggered, and they're going to now be susceptible. I also got this for enemies as well. You can then have them roll a poise, and if they don't meet the right amount of successes, or they just simply get too many failures, you can then basically stun them, and they're going to drop like you broke their poise. And now you can have it where they just get killed, or whatever you want to do. So that is how I have this character. Quickly, let's jump over to this other character. This one is more of a sorcery build. They got like the Academy Cloak. I have them with Magic Glintblade, Glintstone Stars, Terra Magica, and I don't want this video to be too long, so I actually might wait to do too much more on this, but they have a talisman. They have the Spelldrake talisman, so they're more resistant to magic damage. They also have more things like magic. Terra Magica, I'm just saying that it gives them a +1 dice with a max 1, meaning you can't overuse a spell. It takes no stamina, just FP. And then you're going to make that the Terra Magica area. While you're standing in that area, all of your sorcery spells are going to be able to get an extra dice. So if this one, you get 2d20, you now can roll 3 while standing in here. Or if you already had 3, you can get 4. And that's how I'm doing this. Let's see. The pickled turtleneck has a low amount. My thing is, I kind of want to have it to where when you eat a pickled turtleneck, however many successes you roll is how much stamina you're going to get at every in-between turn. So once that player 1 takes his turn, let's say he uses all of his stamina, but he ate one of these turtlenecks, then when he passes his turn, as soon as it becomes the next player's turn, that person, because of the turtleneck, let's say they got 3 successes, they will get 1 stamina back, but they only can get 2 more stamina back before their turn. So if they don't use it, then they're just wasting it because nothing's happened. But they now have 1 stamina. Now player 2 takes their turn, and if during player 2's turn, player 1 wants to do something, as long as they and player 2 agree that they're not interrupting them and like they can help each other, he can use that stamina or hold on to it. When player 2 finishes their turn and it goes to player 3, that pickle turtleneck will now give that player 1 another stamina point back. So if they haven't used it, now they have 2 stamina that they can use on another player's turn, up to 3. Now, of course, they can use all of that. And of course, if you want to use it differently, you can. But that's how I was going to use the pickled turtleneck. Other than that, I also have some silly stuff in here. So I actually, for this character, I included some of the gestures. And I told them that the gestures they can use them as like a silly interrupt to enemies to try to either get them to stop what they're doing and talk to them, or interrupt them by dumbfounding them, or they can use it after beating something, and for the number of successes, I would award them either luck points or possible future dice for stuff, or maybe possible lowering skill stuff. This was something, again, I don't have really tied down to an exact thing. It's more of ask your players what they're wanting to get out of doing the gesture. Then after they do the gesture, depending on how many successes and failures they have, you then can decide what to reward your player with for that moment. So that's where I was kind of going with that. And then don't look too much on this. I think, this is the one I need to rechange, because I had quick attack sword and heavy attack sword in the same spot, and I moved the one down and the one up. And when I did that, I didn't change the bars that are associated with them. So this is squiggly. So don't this is wrong. So these need to be turned around, because I accidentally goofed up. I didn't change I moved the word, but I didn't change the stamina. So these are incorrect. And I will have an updated one at a later time. Okay, so that's this one. So real quick, I think I kind of want, if anyone's interested, I'll make another video and do some more explaining. Wow. I will explain some more. So what I'm going to do, though, is if there is still people here, I'm going to show you the other characters real quick. And now you can pause and take your own notes. But I basically was just wanting to lock in different types of concepts of characters. I did mess up some of their charts. I changed some stuff, but I haven't gone back in. I changed it on paper for the second playtest. I haven't gone back in and changed it on this little character sheet that I made. And so I definitely would have to say playing, I found some, there was definitely some missteps, and there was some stuff that I fixed for the second playthrough, but I definitely would say that this is something that, even if you're not using my system, if you like D&D, I would have to say Elden Ring mixed into a D&D Elden Ring thing. It was fun. The second playtest, I would have to say we had a blast. It was fun. I really would have to say we liked it. And so hopefully you can look at this as you will. If you want to tell me anything of your thoughts on my crazy system, don't be afraid to say something, and hopefully we can talk about this again if enough people even care enough to say something to me. I probably won't share any more if no one is interested. If no one comments and tells me they want to know more about this, then I'm just going to assume, as if me and my play group is going to have fun with this, that's fine, but I guess I just won't share it with the world, because it probably isn't the greatest system. I know it's not a great system. But with that said, hopefully you can leave here in a better mood than you were. Maybe I gave you some ideas for your own stuff. I think that was more my goal, is to not really have some other person play my system, because it's probably not going to work for anyone else. My brain doesn't. I just definitely, I think this is going to be my messed up system that I'm going to play. But I hopefully for any other DMs out there, if there was something you were wanting to work on, maybe this is something to get your creative juices going, and you can now make an Elden Ring thing, but better than mine. I would only say that if I've inspired you to make something better than what I did, just don't leave me in the dark, okay? Come back and tell me what you did, and then, hell, I may steal your creation and we can play your better version than mine. And I don't know, I may just look up stuff online anyway. But with that said, I think I'm done rattling on. I hope all of you had an interesting journey with me. Thanks for floating with me down this potato stream. I will get back to making more Elden Ring content that is just silly, or, I wouldn't say skill, because I'm not. But I'll try to do some more comedy Elden Ring stuff, and of course, I don't care if no one cares or not. I'm still going to make more of my playthrough on Avowed. I just haven't gotten around to doing it because I was doing this crazy system that probably don't work. I get distracted easily. So, with that said, you have a wonderful day. I messed that up, but it's okay. Later.